Most people who move to Washington, D.C. make one big mistake that ruins their life in the city, and they don't even see it coming. You could have all the money in the world, read every blog, and check out every place to buy, but still end up hating where you live. The good news is, you don't have to let the same thing happen to you. By the end of this video, you'll know how to avoid the #1 mistake that's making people lose money and feel stuck in DC. Let's get into it. All right, so let me tell you what the big mistake is that everyone keeps making. It's actually really simple. Most people focus more on what's cool or trending instead of thinking about what actually works for their own life. A lot of people pick where they want to live based on what's trending online, what their friends are talking about, or which neighborhood looks the coolest in pictures. They're chasing what's in instead of stopping to ask themselves one important thing: does this place actually work for how I live every day? And this happens all the time. Someone sees a post about how awesome downtown is, looks at a few amazing photos, and right away they decide they need to move there. But they never stop to think about what their day-to-day life looks like. They don't ask if they care more about having extra space than being near parties, or if they're okay with spending a lot of time getting to school or work. Here's what ends up happening. They think the drive will be faster than it really is. They think they can walk everywhere when they really can't, and they don't pay attention to what people in the area are actually like. And trust me, neighborhoods in DC can feel totally different from each other. Some places are all about going out at night and hanging out with friends, while others are quiet and family-friendly, where people go to bed early. But here's where things get interesting. The neighborhoods that get all of the attention online aren't always bad. The problem is when someone picks them for the wrong reasons. A trendy neighborhood might be perfect for someone who loves to be around a lot of action, but it can be the wrong choice for someone who just wants peace and quiet. Before we jump into another mistake people make, there's something you should do. If you want to make smart choices in the DC housing market, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's like grabbing the best seat in a class before anyone else gets the chance. You'll get updates that most people miss, tips on neighborhoods that no one really talks about, and ideas that could help you save a ton of money. Okay, so let me walk you through some of the most common ways people get it wrong, because I'm pretty sure one of these is going to sound familiar. First, there are people who want more space for their growing family, but they move downtown anyway. Downtown DC is expensive, and getting a decent yard or outdoor area is tough. These families usually end up moving again in a year or two once they realize they don't have enough room. That means paying for moving twice, dealing with extra fees, and going through all the stress that could have been avoided. Then there's the opposite. Some people say walkability is the most important thing to them, but they still move away to the suburbs because the houses are bigger and the prices are lower. If you have to drive 15 minutes just to get groceries and another 20 for dinner, that big house can start to feel pretty lonely. If this is something that matters to you, just wait. Later on, when I show you how to do better research, you'll see that some neighborhoods actually feel really walkable, even if their official walk score doesn't look that great. Now, some neighborhoods that don't look great on paper are actually amazing for everyday errands. And some places with really high walk scores end up being boring because they only have a few spots you can actually use. Another big mistake I see people thinking is trending areas automatically means that it has a strong community vibe. Just because a neighborhood has cool restaurants and shows up in magazines doesn't mean you'll feel like you belong there. A lot of these trendy spots have people constantly moving in and out. On the other hand, some quiet neighborhoods have folks who've lived there forever and really care about their neighbors. But here's the one that really gets to me. When people assume all the suburbs in Maryland and Virginia are basically the same. That's just not true. Schools, transit, and community vibes are totally different in places like Rockville and Vienna. We're talking about completely different ways of living, but people group them together just because they're both in the suburbs. All right, now that you've seen how things can go wrong, let's talk about what you should be paying attention to instead of just going after what's popular. First up, how close you are to work or transit needs to be your starting point. And I'm not just talking about glancing at a map and guessing how long the drive will take. I mean, actually figuring out how long it takes to get from your front door to your desk during rush hour. Here's something most people don't realize about DC area. A place that's only 15 minutes away when traffic is light can easily take 45 minutes or more during a morning rush. That's the difference between getting home in time for dinner or missing out 3 nights a week. The smart thing to do is try out your commute during rush hour, not on a Sunday when the roads are empty. And if you plan to use Metro, make sure you're ready for delays because they happen more often than you think. And while we're talking about checking out neighborhoods, I've got a tip for you later that'll teach you how to ask locals the right questions, the kind that gets you real answers you won't find anywhere online. Next, let's talk about your daily routine. This is where people mess up the most. They think in big, vague ideas like, I want to live somewhere fun, instead of thinking through what they actually do every day. Do you cook most nights and need quick grocery runs? Are you someone who goes to the gym early in the morning, or do you prefer taking evening walks? Do you have kids with activities to get to, or are you more focused on being near good restaurants? Here's what you have to realize. Each neighborhood fits a different kind of lifestyle. Some are amazing if you love walking to work and grabbing coffee nearby. Others are better if you drive a lot and want great schools and calm streets for bike rides. And that brings me to the community vibe, which honestly can make or break how you feel about where you live. You need to figure out what kind of people you want around you. Are you looking for young professionals focused on their careers, families with kids, a quieter area, or a place with a mix of everything and lots of energy? Now, let me break down the real personality of each major area because this info will help you make the right choice. Alexandria and Falls Church are great if you want walkability and charm without the busy downtown vibe. Alexandria gives you a historic waterfront feel with restaurants you can walk to. And Falls Church feels like a close-knit urban village you won't find anywhere else. Alexandria ranks third in Virginia for walkability with a score of 62. But here's the catch. The walkable spots are mostly around Old Town. If you look elsewhere, you might be disappointed. Falls Church has an overall walk score of 91, and the community feels very walkable for daily life. Now, both areas attract people who love history and want moderate family spaces without losing urban perks. Bethesda and Arlington are a different story. These places are fast-paced with upscale amenities and serious city energy. Arlington, especially around Courthouse and Clarendon, has high-rise living with Metro right there and lively nightlife. Some parts score as high as 92 for walkability. Bethesda has an upscale dining and art scene with some walkable areas, but it's not as walkable all over like Arlington. Both spots draw ambitious professionals who want convenience and don't mind paying more for it. Now, for Vienna and Rockville, these are family-focused areas with more space. Vienna's walk score is 89, but the commute is more car-dependent if you live outside of the village center. Rockville has an average walkability score of 56, which is decent for a family suburb. Silver Spring and Courthouse are awesome urban-suburban mixes. Silver Spring has a walk score of 63, ranking 4th in Maryland. The community is a cool mix of cultures and ages with a growing nightlife. And Courthouse, part of Arlington, has that high walk score of 92 with Metro access and tons of restaurants and bars nearby. Both places attract people who want city energy without being in the downtown core. But if you're looking for value but can handle some trade-offs, check out Stafford and Manassas. Stafford is very car dependent with an average walk score around 20, but housing costs are much lower. Manassas has a walkability score of 43 with a historic main street and a growing art scene. People here usually want more house for their money and don't mind driving for errands and activities. Then there's Anacostia, which is an emerging area most people overlook. The average commute is about 27 minutes, but you'll still need a car for most daily stuff. What makes Anacostia stand out is its growing arts and dining scene, lower prices compared to the other DC neighborhoods, and infrastructure that's improving quickly. It also attracts younger professionals and artists who want to be a part of a neighborhood on the rise, but you have to be okay with it still developing. So, now that you see each area fits different lifestyle, here's a clear plan to help you avoid this costly mistake. First, visit neighborhoods on both weekends and weekdays. This is a must. That quiet neighborhood that feels perfect on a Saturday might be a traffic nightmare during a work week. And that lively spot that's buzzing on Friday night could be dead when you need to grab groceries or meet friends for dinner on a Tuesday. Spend at least 4 hours in each neighborhood you're seriously thinking about. Walk around, drive the routes you take every day, and notice how the vibe changes at different times. Next, map out your entire daily routine and test it out. I mean, everything from your morning coffee run to evening workout to weekend errands. And here's something most people never do. Ask people who live there what they wish they'd known before moving. You'll get insider info you won't find in reviews or listings. Most residents are happy to share if you're genuinely curious about their neighborhood. Finally, work with someone who listens to your lifestyle, not just your budget or preferred location. A good agent will ask you detailed questions about how you live, what matters most in your daily life, and what trade-offs you're okay with. This plan will help you make a choice you'll be happy with for years. Look, picking where to live in the DC area is one of the biggest choices you'll make and impacts your everyday life. When you get it right, you love coming home. When you get it wrong, you just count the days until you can move again. The key is to avoid common mistakes most people make, not doing enough research before deciding. If you want to avoid this mistake, get in touch with me today at Ryan@coalitionpg.com. I can help you through the entire process of buying in DC. I've worked with hundreds of clients who've avoided a lot of mistakes by teaming up with me. You should too. Before you go, check out my next video I picked just for you, linked right here. I break down the top 8 suburbs to move to in DC in 2025. Some might be what you expect, but I promise most will surprise you. You don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.